We've come a long way in our ability to manage anger. Now this next video is going to be fun because it's going to be going over examples in which anger is held and conducted in an inappropriate manner, and then taking that same example and discussing how the situation and how anger could have been managed in a much better way. So let's say we have a situation in which a kid spills milk everywhere. So handling the situation poorly would be something like this. You spilled milk again? Clean it up right now. I'm so sick of you spilling milk all the time. What is wrong with you? And the reason that situation wasn't handled very well was because we were resorting to common angry tactics such as raising voice or yelling, insulting, assigning blame, and just being critical or criticizing in general to try and make the other person feel bad about themselves or what they did. And this type of mannerisms in dealing with situations in which one is angry is a deconstructive approach. Because yes, the mess might get cleaned up, but it's only going to instill fear upon the receiver because they're going to be so afraid of spilling milk again because of how angry you got. But accidents happen in life, and mistakes are made, and it might, there's other ways of dealing with careless behavior. So one might say that, well, they're just being careless, they're just spilling the milk, they're not being careful. But instilling that fear is never the appropriate response, because there's another emotion that can, and ways to treat the situation in which instructions are given to the child as to what they can do better. So let's try and handle this situation again, better this time. So let's say milk is spilled everywhere, and you notice the event, and the kid just kind of is sitting there, like kids do sometimes. So, what does one do in this situation to handle this situation appropriately? Beginning to take deep breaths, because let's say you're in a rush to get to work, now there's milk everywhere, or something like that. Taking 10 deep breaths is very important to be able to deal with the situation effectively. So taking those deep breaths, making sure that you're physiologically calm and in a receptive state to communicate the messages that you're trying to communicate in an effective manner. So usually 10 deep breaths, at least 10, is enough to begin to be calm again and communicate with the listener so that they can effectively listen. And then communicating in a manner that says, okay, you've spilled your milk everywhere. When you spill your milk, I expect you to clean it up without me having to tell you to do so. And I expect you to be more careful next time so that you don't spill your milk. Because I know that you don't want to have to clean up that mess, and I don't want to clean it up either. Okay, so in that situation, initially we noticed our anger rising. We had to get somewhere. Time was of the essence. Now there's something careless that happened that causes us to have to stay longer to deal with this situation. But we're focusing on the problem, which is the spilled milk, and the problem of reducing the careless behavior in the future without assigning blame or insulting the child and calling the child careless. So we're just focusing on the problem, saying we need to avoid having this mistake happen again in the future by making sure you're more careful. So be more careful with your milk, and whatever happened to cause you to spill it this time, prevent that in the future. And one of the reasons that this can become a frustrating experience is because it happens over and over again. So then, asking, okay, why is this happening over and over again? What do we need to do to solve it becomes the next situation and the next problem that you need to solve. So generally, these irritations, these frustrations, and anger arise out of problems. And then problem solving becomes an important way to mitigate that anger and help yourself become on a calm level as soon as possible by noticing the very few seconds in which you get emotionally upset. So the next situation we're going to be talking about, and in these anger management situations, there's going to be a wide range of different things that happen to you. And I'm obviously not going to be covering them all, right? I'm just covering a few basic situations to illustrate the points of good anger management techniques and bad anger management techniques, and to help you understand and appreciate different situations and apply these general principles that we're going to be talking about here to your particular situations. So the next general situation that I'm going to be talking about is one in which a company sells you a product and it's not working right. So you've spent a bunch of money on this product and there's some kind of a technical issue. So now you're not able to use the product in the original manner that you intended to use it in. So the situation, handled poorly, would look something like this. Hi, tech support? Yeah, your piece of crap product isn't working right. And it's really frustrating because I'm trying to get on here and I'm trying to use this thing. I spent a bunch of money up front for it and you've taken my money. And now I can't even use the stupid thing. So why don't you just tell me how to fix this? Oh, okay, what's the problem? Well, the information isn't being submitted the way it's supposed to. And it's your little new app and software that you've updated, and now it's no longer working correctly. And I want the old version of the software. Well, we can't do that. You can't give me the old version of the software? What is wrong with you guys? What, you don't have the software available anymore? How stupid is that? How stupid are you guys? This is just insane. Okay. So that's kind of the gist of it. So obviously there's a lot of insults being sent, especially the word stupid, a lot of demeaning communication, and the tech support obviously is probably going to be professional about it and just continue to try and help you. But generally, with that kind of a communication, it's going to be much harder for them to do their jobs because so much of their time is just going to be spent apologizing or whatever it is that the company's asked them to do when people call in upset like this. Because obviously it's tech support. I mean, they're probably going to get a lot of issues and problems and anger as a result of that they have to deal with. So it's very time wasting. It's very ineffective. And it's a lot of energy being spent in your emotional anger spectrum. So when you're angry, that's a lot of energy that you're having to create and consume in order to just communicate those angry feelings. And it's also ineffective because the communication that you're trying to get across isn't getting across, because all you're doing is barraging individuals with insults or raised voices or demeaning things, and that's the only message they're going to get. And the listeners aren't going to really be able to do anything about it. They're not going to be able to constructively help you because of the manner in which you're communicating to them. So how do we communicate better then? How could this situation be handled better? Again, doing those deep breathing exercises. And then asking a few questions like, well, is this really worth getting angry about right now? Is the level of anger that I'm experiencing appropriate for the situation? You might be able to justify it, and if you can, asking yourself, okay, well, what's really the problem here? What is the source of my anger? And instead of assigning blame during this process, try and actually just figure out, well, what really is the problem here? In this case, I was unable to get the information in the way that I wanted because of a new update. So I can begin to problem solve. Well, I want to go back to the old update. Then, if I receive the information that the old update is no longer available, I'll probably be angry again. So I need to calm down again, and I'll just need to ask myself, okay, well, I need a new solution. Okay, and then explaining the problem that's occurring with the new update to the technician. That's no longer allowing for you to get the information across. So again, just updating and revising as necessary to understand and comprehend what the new problems are, and coming up with solutions for those new types of problems. And instead of focusing the problem on the company or the individuals, focus on the results that you want to achieve. And in that way, you'll be able to communicate more effectively, you'll be more efficient, and there will be a lot less energy spent on these types of negative interactions. So you'll actually be able to have much more positive interactions with the people around you. This next scenario involves a company that's being dishonest. So the situation is, a company had a money-back guarantee on their website, which led you to buy a product thinking that if anything was wrong with it, you'd be able to send it back and get your money back. So you get the product, and lo and behold, it's defective, and you want to get your money back. So you email the company and say, I want a refund. And then they tell you that you need to recalibrate the machine. So this is something in which you're asking for a refund, and you try to make it more clear this next time by saying you just want a refund. And they keep telling you to recalibrate the machine. So clearly this is a company that's dishonest, and they're not upholding what they tell you they're going to do, and they're being dishonest. So of course this is going to arouse some anger and frustration because they're not doing what they promised, and they're trying to give you a runaround in order to keep your money, or just be dishonest, or try and get you to fix the product that broke down after 2 days, which obviously shouldn't be happening. So you have a couple choices, and the mismanaging anger is, of course, to what is a natural inclination without anger management training, is to be really angry about the situation, right? I mean, feel really frustrated that somebody is taking your money and trying to take advantage of you like this, and not upholding their money back guarantee, and just being really angry and in a rage about this, that somebody's trying to take your resources and send you a really junky product. And so that would be mismanaging the angers, by just thinking about how bad this is and how bad this company is, and just staying angry about it. So that would be mismanaging the situation. Now, and then also mismanaging would be just emailing the company back and telling them off, and going back and forth with them about how you just want a refund, and keep continuing these messages over and over again, and just playing their game, because that's going to be a huge waste of energy. Obviously this company is very dishonest. They're not handling things well. So instead of badgering them or continuing to try and deal with them, obviously it's important to begin to problem solve and recognize that, okay, I have a problem, I want my money back, and the company isn't cooperating, and they're not being honest, and they're not upholding their money back guarantee. What's my solution? Well, if you paid with, so let's say you paid with credit card. Okay, I need to contact the credit card company in order to get my money back, and explain the situation to a non-biased third party. Let's say this was maybe a contract, and they're not upholding their end of the contract. Okay, again, I need to contact a non-biased third party, begin things in a court situation. If there's, and obviously you have to figure out, okay, what's the time, money that I'm going to be spending into doing that, and is it really worth it? And if it's not worth it, then you basically just have to chalk the thing up to a learning experience, figuring out, okay, what happened in this situation with these people where things aren't going the way they're supposed to, and how to prevent this kind of experience again in the future. And just recognizing the problems again, trying to solve those problems, and communicating with people constructively, and owning responsibility for your angry emotions, and remaining calm instead of focusing on your anger. And instead of assigning blame, try and co-op with the other party, try and bring them in and say, here's exactly what I want and here's how you can help. And seeing people as allies instead of enemies, even if sometimes they're being dishonest, still giving them a chance to try and cooperate, to try and resolve things amiably and peacefully. So that is our final anger management scenario. I think there's a general theme here that you're beginning to see and understand, and I would continue to encourage you to practice some of these anger management techniques that you've learned through this video and the other videos as well, and really practice those techniques while you're calm. Because if you practice them while you're calm, you'll be able to use them when you're angry, or at least have a better chance of communicating effectively. And if you practice while you're calm, then in those moments of heated intensity, you're able to habitually then integrate those techniques that you've been practicing. So that is my recommendation on moving forward and how you can best deal with certain situations and anger management scenarios, and how to use the information that you're learning in a constructive way to make sure that you are more efficient in your communication styles in dealing with others.